This video is sponsored by Mark 7 Car Wash Equipment, providing clean, dry, shiny cars for over 50 years. Visit mark7.net for more information.
Welcome to another episode of Unscripted, the video series that connects you with market leaders. Today on our Unscripted video, we're happy to welcome Brad Mann, Vice President of Mergers and Acquisitions for Amplify Car Wash Advisors. Hello, Brad. It's great to see you, and thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Rich, for having me.
Not a problem. So Brad, today we're here to talk about a topic that's been kind of debated here in the last couple of years. I speak with some operators and they cite concerns of overcrowding in some pockets of the U.S., even to the point of saturation, where I'll talk to others in the industry, maybe some such as manufacturers, who say there's still plenty of room out there and plenty of business for everybody, to be had. So I wanted to get you on the program today to discuss the current state of saturation in the car wash market. And first, why don't we start off with a definition of market saturation? So Brad, in the car wash market, how would you define market saturation?
Yeah, I think, being an operator for, almost 7 years myself, and obviously selling my chain to one of the largest operators, International Car Wash Group, there obviously is a lot more press, obviously, with the big guys that weren't here 10 years ago. So if you've been in the industry more than 10 years, from that perspective, the word saturation probably is something that you're feeling. But I guess I equate it to like the big national brands, Starbucks, Home Depot, Lowe's, those guys. And they've got far more stores than, obviously any of the car wash brands do. And they're still growing. I mean, you look at almost any Starbucks in the country, if you're passing by, whether you're a coffee drinker or not, there's lines and people are still buying coffee. So I think for the good part of our industry is as we develop, whether you're developing a multi-unit brand yourself or whether the big guys are developing their big brands, I think what we'll see is the volume of customers and the frequency due to how well we're developing the recurring revenue and the membership plans. I actually think the trips will go up. And I think, being on the ICA and really watching the studies, what we're really seeing is we're not at saturation yet because most of the consumers are seeing a brand, seeing a service that is elevated. And so instead of washing their car once or twice a year, they're more washing it twice a month. Well, that right there drives a lot of volume into, how many car washes we can build. And so are we saturated? I think there are some markets that are getting crowded. I have friends that are, obviously operators in Phoenix. I have friends that are, in Atlanta, and those two markets are, obviously there's quite a bit of car washes, but I've looked at kind of the U.S. market as a whole. Obviously with Amplify, we're taking on clients all over across the U.S. There's still a lot of room for growth in a lot of markets.
Okay. And you mentioned a few there, but in your opinion, which areas of the U.S. are currently either experiencing or approaching car wash market saturation today?
I would say Phoenix is one where a lot of the big brands and really good operators, my friend Tuck with Cobblestone, Richard with Quick and Clean, and a lot of the other brands are certainly growing where they were 3 years ago, up to the point where they're more than 30 locations. But I know these guys personally, and they're still looking to grow. And so they're not rookies at this. So we're not, talking about an operator that's just come into the industry, and we're not talking about a set of guys that, obviously know what the opportunity cost is if they don't pick a good site, and they're still continuing to grow. So I don't think we're at a point where, you see like in the 80s or even the last 08 recession where you've got a lot of store closing signs coming. I know when I got in the business, cities are always constantly worried. They don't want a retail spot, that's dead. And you don't see a lot of car washes failing right now. So if you do your research, you pick the right site, whether you're really big or really small, car washes they're returning a good investment to yourself or an investment group. So I don't think, anywhere in the US are we at a point where, we are saturated. But on the the other hand, we see a lot of groups. Obviously, we can all see the press last year. There were a lot of big numbers thrown out there with guys really, really growing. And so they've got a lot of research behind them, and they've got a lot of capital behind them. So I think at some point in the future, we're going to probably feel closer like we are to saturation, but I don't think we're there at this point.
Okay, that's great news. And I'm curious, Brad, what is it about these locales that make them unique to investors drawing interest into them?
Well, I think if you look at the reason the car wash business is really making the front page news, and I was experiencing last year when I was with the International Car Wash Group, I think everybody in the industry, I think every consumer for that matter, whether you're a restaurant owner, a retail building owner, or a multifamily investor, I think, obviously with COVID happening last year, I recall even being on the board, we were making big decisions on whether to have a trade show or not. So I think coming out of a year like we had last year with COVID, no one really knew what to do from March to May. It was, like having your first child. How do you know what the playbook looks like? Everybody was new, and I think the reason the car wash business as a whole is so exciting is if you can now look back on the last 12 months. Yes, there were some states. I have friends in New York and the Northeast, Michigan. Some of those states took the rules and regulations pretty hard and actually shut down almost every business. But 6 weeks, sometimes up to 10 weeks, these guys were shut down. But what was really exciting, I think, about our business was that as soon as we got reopened, most of the exterior express market was thriving. I've looked at a lot of numbers, and by May of last year, they were above normal. And then what we're seeing is now that all the states are opened up, most of the industry is having record. From March to May of this year, most of the clients we're looking at are having record numbers. Consumers are coming back quickly. It's a business that, yes, do people in the car wash business have now hiring signs up? Absolutely. But for the amount of business we can do with 10 to 15 employees per location, it's pretty exciting the amount of revenue you can produce, without the labor of a Chick-fil-A, which is, 35, 40 people per store. So it's a really exciting industry. And I think if you can find good people and find good locations, there's still a lot of runway left in this business.
Certainly great news for current operators and interested investors out there.
For sure.
So, Brad, in your opinion, it seems like the mantra now is to scale and to grow fast and to open locations at a rapid pace here to gain market share. So, in your opinion, is the industry building too fast? Do you expect a bubble to burst in the near future, and why or why not?
People always ask us, and we have quite a solid team at Amplify, and we're getting kind of feedback all the way across the country. And so, to take the baseball analogy, people are always, trying to say, what inning are we really in? Are we in the bottom of the ninth in this? Or I think most of us, our consensus said we're somewhere between the third and fourth inning, just because we have so much real estate in so many markets that even some of the bigger players are just now entering. And so now once they get there, they look at how many cars they're washing. And we see a lot of even the big guys expanding upon their existing markets before they get in even to a new market. So I think the reason that this industry is going to grow so fast is obviously lower employees, like I talked about before, per store level, but then also just the how easy it is to scale compared to other types of businesses. And I think cities are becoming more and more pleased that they've seen professional car washes come in. So not that it's getting any easier in some, but I think cities at least realize they see, other markets that we're starting to see some branding and things like that. It's easier to get into some of these markets. But I think the fact that it is fragmented, it's still very fragmented compared to a lot of other industries. And the ability to scale a large operation, you're seeing, some brands out there really doing it well.
Yeah, the face of our industry has certainly changed. I've had a few new car washes open up in my area, and these are, modern looking, slick buildings. So a great addition to any community out there, right?
I agree.
So for operators who are competing in, let's say, these overcrowded markets, Brad, what advice do you have? What do they need to know before it's too late?
I probably, because I'm involved in the industry, I still have a tremendous amount of people reaching out to me on LinkedIn and different social networks saying, hey, should I get in the car wash business right now? I think my advice is, if it's your money, you better really understand what you're up against. We do see every day big brands, Tidal Wave, Mr. Zips. You've got a lot of the big brands that have a lot of tremendous capital behind them. And I guess the only concern that I give these guys is, if it's your money or it's a small, fund, family fund, that it's not as easy as everybody says it is. It's not going to be something that you can plop up, walk away from. Maybe 15 years ago when I got in the business, you could pick out a decent site, still make a decent return. But the level of professionalism, the level of seriousness when you're talking about like a tidal wave that has tremendous momentum behind them, they take this business very seriously and they're growing, at a rapid pace. So if you go up against somebody like that, you just need to understand that this is not a part-time job. This needs to be more than a career. It's your livelihood. And so you have to get the car clean and you have to deliver an experience better than the guy down the road, is as simple as that. And I think 10 years ago, it was pretty easy to deliver. But now we see it's a different ballgame. We're in the majors now. We're not playing around with, little league. And some people don't like that. I think, to me personally, it makes you a better operator. It makes you take this more seriously. And the other great thing is that if you don't want to take it that seriously, there's an exit plan for a lot of these guys. And it's, hopefully more than what you paid for. It's a good return. And it's a time to either, get out or keep growing.
For sure. Definitely exciting times in the car wash market. And to continue the baseball analogy, for operators who are looking to knock it out of the park, let's say, you need to be a quality operator if you are facing increased competition in your area. So, Brad, certainly appreciate the few minutes today and your insights. Thanks for doing this interview with carwash.com.
Rich, have a great day. Appreciate your time.